This is not a drill. We just saw a moose off in the distance and we are trying to get back to that road. Our names are Mike and Heather. We're traveling the US in our van Appa on a mission to visit all 50 states. Subscribe and join us as we try to figure out this whole van life thing. As always, thanks for watching. Good morning from our 30th state of Wyoming. We are just outside the Grand Tetons in the little town of Jackson Hole. Maybe a little, but it is very, very popular and busy. We are up bright and early and are heading into the Grand Teton National Park.
We were able to download a GyPSy guide app again. It is a GPS navigation that tells you points of interest as you're driving, so we're excited to have that. We'll hopefully be able to get out and walk around a little bit, and we should be able to see some incredible wildlife.
Yes, a moose is number one on my list to see. We were very fortunate enough to see a bunch of bears in the other national parks that we've gone to over the last couple of weeks. So I'm hoping to see a moose. That is my number one thing today, so fingers crossed.
Good morning.
Good morning. I appreciate you having that stuff ready for us.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
You too. So the first stop that we've come to is the Teton Glacier viewpoint, and if you're looking at the Tetons, you can actually see the glacier. It's really amazing to see and to know that this location was under, what, 3,000 feet of ice?
At one point, according to our GyPSy guide.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
We have made it to probably the most popular point in the Grand Teton National Park, which is Jenny Lake. So we are going to catch a ferry and cross Jenny Lake to get to some really cool hiking locations on the other side. But first we need to put on our hiking gear, and by that I mean our shoes because we're currently in flip-flops, so that way we can catch the ferry and head across.
This is definitely the perfect start to the day.
We keep our hiking shoes underneath the front seats.
We are here at the shore of Jenny Lake. We're walking over to the boat dock where we'll take a boat or ferry across the lake to the kind of hiking point. You can actually also hike around the lake, which adds 2 or 3 miles, but we're gonna take the ferry because that seems like a lot of fun, and we'll be able to see Inspiration Point and Hidden Falls.
2 round trips?
Yes.
You guys will just head around to your right. You're all good. Thank you.
Oh, baby, don't cry. There's always tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, if I could fly, ooh, I would be with you every second of my life.
All right, folks, watch your step and have an awesome day.
But it's not easy when you're blind from the truth. Let me be your mountain, 'cause I see it as my God.
So we have made it to the first half-mile stop, which is Cascade Creek, and the amount of water that's like thundering over it is so loud, and it's really cool.
We haven't made it to Hidden Falls yet, actually. The bridge that we crossed must have just been a Cascade Creek crossing because the sign says Hidden Falls and Inspiration Point are still up that way.
We're also keeping our eyes open for moose and bear, but mostly moose.
They have had some moose sightings and bear sightings in this area recently, so we're hoping to see one or both of them from a safe distance. It's right there. I don't know how we thought the other one was this, but that's Hidden Falls.
Maybe I'm just easily impressed, but that first waterfall was something special, and this one is absolutely something special. The amount of water that's coming over it and how fast it is unbelievable.
The sky is blue, the sun is high. Sitting here on my own, I think of you, you're on my mind, you know. To me that's alright, should take a stroll. And to me, that's alright.
So we did end up making it all the way up to Inspiration Point.
Which is way up there, a lot further than I thought it was gonna be.
Farther than we thought, but not a bad hike by any means. And definitely some amazing, beautiful views of the park.
I thought I heard something behind us.
Oh no, it was a squirrel. There was
Oh.
a squirrel that ran by.
Hoping for moose, but I guess squirrels are cool too.
Yeah, we still have the entire day ahead of us. We didn't see any animals out here on the trail,
We
but
just saw a squirrel.
well, not like a moose or a bear. Or, so we're hoping we'll see some from the road as we continue our kind of loop through Grand Tetons.
I think of you, you're on my mind, you know. To me, that's alright.
We have made it back to the Jenny Lake boat launch from this side of the lake. There are boats leaving every 10-15 minutes, so shouldn't be too long of a wait to get back over to the main side, get our passport stamped at the visitor center, jump back in Appa, and continue working on the loop.
Actually, I see a boat has just arrived, so we're probably gonna be able to catch that one.
That was cool. So we were able to make the boat and are heading straight back without having to wait at all. We are backing up and ready to hit the road again. This was a really nice hike. I will say I am very, very glad that this was our first stop and that we chose to get into the park in the early part of the day. As we were leaving, the traffic was already starting to pick up, and this being one of the most popular spots, it's no wonder why. It was absolutely beautiful over there, but this is definitely a spot to hit as early as you can because the parking lot is now full. We're watching cars making loops trying to find a spot, so when we leave, some lucky person will end up here, but this was really cool and I really enjoyed it.
The next turnout coming up quickly provides us with a long
Oh,
view
you
into
lucky duck. Look at this. Oh, and he passed someone who was parked waiting and took the spot. It probably took 10 seconds from the time we exited our spot to having that spot filled. So yeah, there are people looping through here trying to find a good spot.
If we're desperate for parking, also go this way for a little extra parking.
Hi.
Hi.
How we doing?
Good,
Good, and you?
Great.
From this point you can see the Teton Fault. That shows where the mountain is still growing, which is pretty neat.
It's right in there. Basically, there's a fault line that these mountains are on that when earthquakes happen, it pushes the mountains up. So they are still growing, which is pretty cool.
The top of Grand Teton is a 7,000-foot vertical rise. There are bigger mountains in the Rockies, but what makes the Teton so spectacular? That immense vertical rise from the valley floor. Enjoy the view.
We're back at Jenny Lake, but on the other side and a little bit further down and across you can actually see Cascade Canyon, which is a U-shaped canyon because it was formed by a glacier. Whereas V-shaped canyons are formed by water and the erosion that happens like that. The U-shaped canyons formed by glaciers are generally caused as the glacier recedes and picks up rocks and sediments and things like that and grinds the bedrock down.
Veered off of the main drag through the park onto the Signal Mountain Road. It is a narrow road and they actually don't allow RVs or trailers up here, so it's only smaller vehicles, so thankfully our van meets the cut and we are climbing our way up to the top of the mountain to have a really cool view of Jackson Hole. More importantly, we're on the lookout for moose still because it's a lot less populated, so I have my hopes up. I'm like starting to get a headache because I feel like I'm looking so hard and like squinting like through the trees, but it'll be worth it when we finally see one. But speaking of moose, we learned some fun facts from our reading material that the rangers gave us. So moose can actually dive 18 feet deep into the lakes and rivers, and they can hold their breath for up to a minute. I can't even imagine a moose like swimming more than like crossing a stream, let alone like going underwater and like diving. That just blows my mind. We made it to the top of Signal Mountain, and now we're working our way back down Signal Mountain. No moose sightings, but we did see lots of pretty flowers and why Jackson Hole got its namesake. So you really can see the mountains surrounding it and the hole right in the middle, so makes sense.
Being able to see the actual mountain range and the pocket that makes the hole is really interesting, and I think something that you wouldn't appreciate unless you got that vantage point from up here.
As we make our way down though, we're still going to keep our eyes peeled for moose. We just crossed over the dam, and it's actually pretty interesting. Our guide was telling us that they built the dam so that the Idaho potato farmers would have a more steady stream of water year round. It was just kind of fun to learn of that after visiting Idaho and learning more about their potatoes when we were there. But now we're going down yet another narrow road that the guide said was good for wildlife spotting, so hopefully we spot some creatures other than squirrels and chipmunks.
We are in the Oxbow Bend area, and this should be some prime environment for animal viewing. And some really good views of the mountains.
It was a really pretty road, but no luck. So the moose search continues. So we kept driving along the road and we haven't found any moose yet, but we just came across some bison.
Yeah, we are at the Elk Flats turnoff, and it's a good place for seeing wildlife, and that's totally true because there are two different herds of bison, one on each side of the road. There's a baby.
This is not a drill. We just saw a moose off in the distance and we are trying to get back to that road, or like to do a U-turn to get there, but now I'm all flustered because we saw a moose and we're trying to see it better. That was so cool. Not only was it a moose, it was a moose and her baby. It was absolutely amazing. Seeing a moose has been on my national park bucket list since we started doing this, so I'm absolutely thrilled that I got to see one and their baby, and I am so thankful for the Gypsy guide because as you can see, it's a little bit bumpy, so we probably would have passed, but it's pretty well maintained, and the guide is right. It is a very good spot for wildlife viewing. Now that it's getting later in the day, it's about 6 o'clock, we're finally gonna pull over and eat a real meal. We've just been snacking all day, but we have backtracked back to kind of like the animal hotspot. So we are at the Willow Creek Overlook and overlooking it as we make ourselves a little meal here. And hopefully we get lucky and see some more animals, but the way that we have to backtrack out of the park tonight is past all the animal places once more. So we're trying to time this perfectly that we hit it right at the dusk, which is when the animals are most active.
So we are breaking out the air fryer because it is low maintenance, and that way we won't have any cleanup to worry about. We don't have to worry about making a mess and attracting bears. Pizza hors d'oeuvres. It's a good dinner.
After taking in the sights at the Willow Flats, we are now back in the van heading to one of the last viewpoints before you leave Teton National Park. So we are headed to that one there to catch the sunset, which is setting right to our left, so hopefully we make it there in time. But we got so lucky with wildlife earlier today that we want to prioritize the sunset now. We are keeping our eyes open as we're driving still because we just did see some deer, which was really cool, but I think we're gonna take in an amazing sunset over the Tetons.
We've had a really amazing day here in Grand Teton National Park. It's been so cool and something that we weren't necessarily thinking that we would do initially on our trip in. We had originally planned to go to Yellowstone where we had camping reservations and we're going to plan to spend more time there, but there was flooding that actually caused the national park to close and cancel camping reservations. It's opened up some, which is what we're hoping to go into tomorrow and to view everything there. But it gave us an opportunity to come over to Jackson Hole and to see the town of Jackson and actually to come into Grand Teton National Park. So it ended up being an amazing opportunity for us to see what is one of my favorite, I think after this experience, national parks that we've been to.
I am a little bit embarrassed that Teton National Park wasn't on our list originally before we had to come up with a new idea after we heard about Yellowstone. But thankfully Yellowstone has opened up a little bit more, so we are still going to venture in there tomorrow. But I am so happy that we did squeeze in the Teton National Park because it is slowly become one of my favorites as well.
We're coming up to the last wide open, unobstructed view of Jackson Lake in this northern end of the Teton Range.
I hope you'll always be around, even if I fail. You are like a summer breeze that I must inhale. Is it possible for us to feel this way forever? Loving you has never felt more right.
The sun has officially set behind us, and that means that it's time to find our boondocking site. So let's go.
Woke up lonely, and for you, there is nothing in this world I wouldn't do. I would walk 1,000 miles just to see you.
So we have made it to our boondocking site for the night. We are officially out of Grand Teton National Park, just above it in the Rockefeller Memorial Highway
Yes.
Park.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can get a stamp for it, so I'm considering it a national park. But yes, we have found our boondocking site. On the way here, we actually saw a lot of wildlife, including some elk, some beavers swimming,
Yeah.
some more deer.
Antelope, pronghorn, but
Yeah.
like they're basically antelope.
Yeah, so we definitely saw a lot of different animals. No bear, but we have made it to our spot for the night.
We've come to the headwaters parking at Flag Ranch. We got here pretty late and there was a security car, so we just checked in with them and they said we're good to go, just kind of have to be out by 7 in the morning. All in all, definitely a good spot, but with that we're probably going to start trying to organize to go to bed so we can get up and get on the move in the morning.
Tomorrow morning we are headed into Yellowstone National Park, so good night everyone.